Hi, and thank you so much for joining us here on Meet Me in the Movies. This is Thomas Manning, and I've got a conversation I'm really excited to share with you all with Mr. Stephen Lang. He's an actor you'll recognize from a variety of films from his 40 plus year career, from working with directors like Michael Mann and James Cameron, notably on the Avatar films, to taking on stories of real life heroes like he does in his new film, The Optimist. And this film is about a man named Herbert Heller who survived Auschwitz and then later in life shared his story with thousands. Herbert sadly passed away a few years ago at the age of 92, but his legacy lives on in the people he moved and inspired with his story. And it's very much alive in this film, starring Lang and Elsie Fisher as well, directed by Finn Taylor. So thank you so much to Stephen Lang for sharing his time with us here on Meet Me in the Movies. And I'll pitch us to that conversation now as we discuss The Optimist and the life of Herbert Heller with Stephen Lang. All right. Hey, my name is Thomas Manning with Meet Me in the Movies. Stephen, it's great to meet you.
Hello, Thomas Manning. Nice to meet you as well.
Absolutely. And I appreciate your time, and I'll head right into it. So I'm curious what you recall about the first time you learned of Herbert's story. Do you have any memories of your first reaction to learning of his life?
I was intrigued. I was not altogether surprised or shocked by what he had done and what he had not done. I was not because I've worked I understand something about guilt, not personal guilt, but I've played it, I've examined it, I've played soldiers who have lived through traumatic experiences and did not want to talk about it. And that essentially, and Herbert lived through, as he put it, he was at the end, he witnessed the end of the world. And he lived through it. And he not only lived through it, he came through it with how do you put it? With a good attitude. I mean, the film could not be more aptly named, and it took a long time to name this film. But The Optimist is what it is, and I like the idea. And I think I respond to this intuitively without putting it into words. But I understand it's very fascinating when optimism can be an act of defiance itself, which is essentially what this young fella did. You know what I mean? He remained firmly positive about life. It's a little bit like what when Anne Frank said, despite everything, I still believe that people are good at heart. It's that kind of attitude that I think enabled him to live through such dire circumstances.
Very, very beautifully said. And this was your first time working with director Finn Taylor. So, what are some aspects of his style and his voice as a filmmaker that stand out to you as an actor and made him the right person to tell this story?
There's a school of Northern California filmmakers who are kind of cussedly independent, I would say. And I think Finn fits into that very well. Around the Bay Area, they go their own way in various. I think Coppola is sort of an example of that himself. Even though he's worked studio, there's always been something incredibly independent about Coppola. So there's something in the water or the air up in Northern California that is very, very different than you're going to get down in Hollywood and other places. And that's been his base, Northern California, for a long time, and he makes his movies there, and he's made some fine films, And I think that this came to me, and I was and working with him, I found him to be extremely collaborative, just a good all around knowledgeable filmmaker, from every aspect. Gave me plenty of room to kind of explore, but he also gave me some good firm guidance.
Yeah. And a small aspect of Herbert that I was taken with was his fascination with nature. We see, subtle hints of that multiple times throughout the film. So what did that piece of knowledge about Herbert and his fascination directly with nature, what did that give to you as an actor?
I think it just contributes to the outlook, to the reason. When one gets up and the first thing one says is, "What a beautiful day this is," and I know in my mind that Herbert did that on many, many occasions. What a glorious, glorious day it is for a walk. That in itself it's part of what defines his nature. Always looking for the positive. It's not so much different than you may remember he rewards himself and others with chocolate. You know, chocolate is right there with good weather. It's all the good things in life. It seems to me the positive things in life. And one of the most wonderful things about it is that what did he do? He opened a store for kids. You know, Heller's Kids, everything you need for a child, from bassinet to to bottle. And I just think again that just another right there, it's up there with nature. It's something that's positive. It's an influence that it's a reason to live, a reason to get up in the morning and move forward.
Well, Stephen, it was a privilege to chat with you today. I appreciate your time and thank you for your part in bringing this story to us. And hopefully we share more conversations in the future.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Manning.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a